Hey, welcome back to another episode of Simple Truth Television. Today is April 12th, 2021. I want to talk about the killing of Daunte Wright, a man who was killed in Minnesota on April 11th. And I'm going to show you guys the connection to the killing of George Floyd, which took place on May 25th of 2020. Definitely connected. And there's a part of me that believes that both of these stories are both hoaxes, but I guess we don't have to really decide whether or not it's a hoax. I guess we could just look at the numbers and decide whether or not it's by the numbers and if it's contrived or not. So thanks everybody for joining us. So the story is, I know most of you have probably already heard about this. I'm just hearing about it today. I was busy all day, so I was just able to do it now. So supposedly the police officer stopped him. He was wanted for, I guess he had a warrant out for his arrest. And instead of using the officer wanted to use the taser. Instead of using the taser, he used his real gun and he shot Mr. Daunte Wright. But you know, this story, it's a complete hoax. I mean, it's the same thing with George Floyd. Basically, it's the same thing all over again. But just let's look at the numbers and then we'll talk about it at the end. So the young man's name is Daunte Wright, a name that sums to 60. You know, every time we get these racial police brutality stories, they always quote the same numbers. It's either the racial numbers, you know, the 42s, the 102s, of course 60 because police is 60, the N-word is 60. So here we have a police officer killing a black man, right? The N-word. And we saw the same thing with George Floyd. They use the same numbers, right? So George Floyd, I remember Stephen Jackson was 42 years old at the time of his killing. Stephen Jackson was supposed to be called him his twin, and this happened in the Twin City, Minnesota. 42-year-old Stephen Jackson, whose name sums to 106. Actually, he sums to 20. I think his name sums to 218 instead of 106, but Stephen Jackson was definitely involved in the killing of George Floyd. So his name is not 106, but it's definitely 218. And 218 is the Minnesota area code. I Can't Breathe is also 218. Stephen Jackson's full name is also 218. Stephen Jesse Jackson. And if you guys saw the George Floyd funeral, Jesse Jackson was in attendance. Stephen Jackson is also 52 Lake, Minnesota. So notice the 52, Minnesota's 52. And of course the 218 is the Minnesota area code. Right? I Can't Breathe is 218 and 52 as well. And there's also 106, like black and everything else that we talked about last year with George Floyd. You know, I don't like covering these stories because my channel got deleted for covering George Floyd. So I was really hesitant about covering this story. But I'm going to talk about it. If my channel gets taken down, so be it. But George Floyd, he was born October 14th, 1973. And this story comes out on the 181st day of his age, which is the 42nd prime. And like I said, they always code the number 42 and the number 60 in these racial divisive stories. It's all the time, same thing. Now, the killing of George Floyd took place on May 25th of the last year. And this killing took place 322 days after the skull and bones number, right? Now, notice this gematria. When you type out the killing of Daunte Wright and justice for George Floyd, it's identical in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. And all 4 numbers matter, all 4, because they use these numbers all the time. Of course, 110 connects to prophecy. It also connects to Minnesota. 322 connects to the Skull and Bones Secret Society. They identify by the numbers 322. Notice the 115. Today is, well, the killing took place 115 days after after Pope Francis' birthday. Masonic, killing, Lucifer, they all equate to 115. So that's why they coded the number 115 in that phrase, killing of Daunte Wright. And if you go to the Wikipedia, that's what they named the article, killing of Daunte Wright. And isn't it amazing that it just sums to the same thing as justice for George Floyd? Of course, justice for George Floyd is also 106. Just like I Can't Breathe, just like black Just the same thing all over again. And it's funny how they both code the number 322, and then these two events take place 322 days apart from each other. But the 110 in the most pure cipher connects to Minnesota, also connects to prophecy, because all this stuff is prophecy. This stuff has been planned way in advance. I'll guarantee you, nobody died in none of these events. George Floyd or the Daunte Wright. Both of these gentlemen are probably still alive. Not probably, they are alive. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, every time, and if you've seen any other footages or any other pictures of the incident, it's all blurry. You really can't see anything. It's just the same thing. 322 days is also 46 weeks. Kim Potter, that's the name of the police officer that's supposed to be killed, Daunte, right? Kim Potter is also 46. Just like how George Floyd was 46 years old when he was killed by Mr. Chauvin. And just think about how both of these events, not only did they both take place in Minnesota, but they took place 10 miles apart from each other while the George Floyd trial is going on. I mean, the mockery is just unbelievable. It's just crazy how they can do the same thing all over again, and people still fall for it. They did the same thing just 322 days later that they did with George Floyd. It's supposed to be, you know, the police officer saying that it was accidental. How can you confuse a taser for a real gun? They don't even weigh the same. I don't even know how people believe this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. But it's supposed to be this took place at the Brooklyn Center. Brooklyn Center saying some to the same thing as the Jesuit order, because it's them behind all this. And this is what I'm saying. I mean, I know, you know, they also call the number 322 because I think all these secret societies, they all work together. The Jesuits, the Skull and Bones, the Masons, they all work together. They consider themselves the Illuminati. It's the Illuminati behind all these rituals. You know, you could call them the Illuminati. You can point your finger at the Jesuits, point your fingers at the Skull and Bones, or the Freemasons, but they all work as one, and they all work under Pope Francis, the first opening Jesuit Pope, head of the Catholic Church. I mean, all this taking place 115 days after his birthday. One of the big numbers with the George Perry Floyd is also 201, just like the Jesuit order. But one of the big numbers that they love to code with these stories is the number 102, right? On April 12 is when the news came out. That was the 102nd day of the year. And police is 102. The N-word is 102, like slavery is 102. They love that number, 102. If you're into sports, you know, whenever you see a black quarterback that can go for his 102nd win on, let's say, 42 days after his birthday, most likely they're going to get it. I mean, it's like this all the time. They code this number with most of the black most of the black racial divisive stories, like the George Floyd, the Eric Garners, Michael Brown, and all the other ones. I mean, there's so many of them. LeBron James, born December 30th. And of course, you know, when George Floyd died, his death was connected to LeBron James, right? Because George Floyd was 46 years old. This happened in Minnesota, where the Lakers are from. The Lakers star player is Mr. LeBron James. And remember we were talking about the number 218? The George Floyd killing, the videotape went viral the next day on the 26th of May. And that was 218 days before LeBron James' birthday. 218, like the Minnesota area code, like I can't breathe. But of course, LeBron James is synced up with this story as well, just like how he was with the George Floyd, right? So LeBron James born December 30th, and Mr. Daunte Wright gets killed 102 days after LeBron James' birthday. 102 days. I mean, this stuff is really just undeniable, and it's the same thing. It's so repetitive. So December 30th, LeBron James' 36th birthday to April 11th, 102 days. Just like police, the N-word, slavery, just like George Perry Floyd. And of course, that's a reflection of 201. Like how LeBron James was born 201 days after the 1984 NBA Finals concluded. And these upcoming NBA finals is probably going to be connected to this story, just like how last year's NBA finals was connected to the George Floyd killing. Because remember, Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat went to the finals. Jimmy Butler. Let me show you something about Jimmy Butler. This is something that I missed. This is why, Notice where Jimmy Butler was born at. He was born September 14th, and he was born in Houston, Texas, just like George Floyd. George Floyd was supposed to be from Houston, and he died in Minnesota. They had Mr. Jimmy Butler in the NBA Finals. The guy was born from Houston, Texas, the same hometown as George Floyd. So, might want to find out where, and it's obvious that the Brooklyn Nets are going to go because this happened in the Brooklyn Center. So this year's NBA Finals is not going to be that hard to predict. Last year was kind of tricky, but after the fact, in hindsight, then we realized why they went with the Miami Heat. It had everything to do with the George Floyd supposed killing. But again, that 110, right? This happened 110 days after the start of the NBA season. 110, just like Minnesota and justice for George Floyd and the killing of Daunte, Wright. Same numbers. I almost feel like I'm covering the same story all over again because these are the same thing. The killing happened on April 11th, excuse me, which is written 11/4, like 114, number that connects to LeBron James. It also connects to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I mean, just think about it. On 11/4, we get another killing out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And of course, history sums to 114. History also sums to 42. And just think about how black people are always in the headlines and making history. Around the same kind of numbers. And then the biggest mockery is that on the day that the news goes viral, the Nets in the Timberwolves game gets postponed, which proves that not only are they scripting the games, not only are they scripting these events, but they are also setting up these schedules to fall on the perfect day for the perfect ritual. I mean, what are the odds that the Brooklyn Nets are playing the Minnesota Timberwolves a day after this killing happens? And this killing took place in the Brooklyn Center. I mean, come on. But yeah, so, and while the Nets have 36 wins, well, oh my goodness. Yeah, but this year, this is all about the NBA Finals because not only is this connected to LeBron James, but where is it? I guess I didn't put it up, but let me show you something about the NBA Finals. So April 11th, the day of this alleged killing, a day with 56 numerology. The NBA Finals starts on a date with 56 numerology. And of course, the day that the news broke on the 102nd day of the year, that's the day leaving 263 days left in the year, the 56 prime. And what is 56? Well, that's the number that connects to the Jesuits. And of course, that's the number that connects to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is 56, and it's also 106. So, like, I can't breathe. So, on the day leaving 263 days left in the year, we get the story about another black man being killed by the police. The 56 prime, another Black Lives Matter movement story. Well, it happens on the day with 56 numerology, like how the NBA Finals starts on the day with 56 numerology. And just notice the day numerology with April 11th and July 8th. 56 and 20. And of course, Mr. LeBron James can become 5 and 6 if he wins the NBA championship this year. And if he does win it, it's a possibility that he wins it on the road and picks it up at the Barclays Center, because Barclays Center equals 56. And so many other things equal 56, like coronavirus, mind control, which all this stuff is. It's mind control. It controls people to go out protesting, people to start riots, That's why you have to educate yourself before you commit any crimes. Because a lot of you, when you go rioting and protesting, you decide that that's the perfect time to go stealing. And then you end up being in jail for something that you had no business doing. I think the way we are going to defeat the devil is not by protesting, to be honest. It serves no purpose. You cannot destroy the devil with a sign. You're just wasting your time. And then the Lakers play the Nets the day before the killing. I mean, and then notice the score: 126 to 101. Who died on 126 on the 101 freeway? Kobe being Bryant. Lakers pick up that 33rd win like Kobe, like LeBron. That was the last game the Nets lost. 17 loss of the season. NBA equals 17. Oh my God, the same thing. 102 days after LeBron James' birthday, we got another George Perry Floyd situation. Just 10 miles apart from each other. Oh man. Yeah, but those of you upset about this story, both of these stories, anybody that get upset about any of these two stories, the George Floyd and the Daunte Wright, you gotta really do some research. Just look at the video footages first of all. Just look at the video footages. The George Floyd. Let's talk about George Floyd for a second. If you guys remember when the paramedics arrived at the scene, I mean, I've never taken any paramedics classes, right? But this is just common sense. If you arrive at a scene and there's a dead body on the floor or somebody that has been suffocated, what is the first thing you're supposed to do? The first thing, and to my understanding, the first thing you're supposed to do is check for the person's pulse. The paramedics at the George Floyd site did not do that. Secondly, you're supposed to at least try to give them CPR and try to revive the victim. I think that's common sense. If you notice what the paramedics did, they rolled George Perry Floyd over, they put him in the stretcher, and they just threw him in the back of the van, in back of the ambulance. That's all they did. Why? Because they were doing a drill. They knew that George Perry Floyd was not killed. He was not dead. And, they did a bad acting job. Same thing they did with Nipsey Hussle. The guy kept pressing on his leg, and his leg looked like it was a wooden leg. Go look at the Nipsey Hussle killing when they placed him inside the ambulance. It looks so fake. I haven't seen the footage of Daunte Wright, but I guarantee you it's the same thing. I can't look it up because I can't play the video here anyway. So, and I don't really need to see it because it makes me laugh when I see all these footages. Because how can people believe all this stuff? Really, a dead body and you don't even check for the pulse to see if the person is even dead or alive? And then you don't even do CPR on the person? I mean, this stuff they do a better job in the movies, to be honest. Oh my gosh. So justice for Daunte Wright. And then, now they got a memorial in front of Cup Foods. Let me show you something about the Jumanji of Cup Foods. Something we spoke about with George Floyd. So George Floyd was supposed to be killed in front of a supermarket called Cup Foods, which equals 99 and 36. Remember the Nets picked up their 36 win versus the Lakers? Well, they stayed on 36. And that's a big number with racism. Cup Foods is also 36, right? But racism is 36 with the exception. But racism, the big number here is the number 99. Because that's the number that they always use. They used it with Eric Garner. He was killed by the police officer wearing a t-shirt with the number 99 in the back. They used it with George Floyd because he was killed in front of Cup Foods, and Cup Foods is 99. Let me show you something. So this is the police officer that's supposed to be killed, Eric Garner. He was wearing this big t-shirt with the big 99 on his back. Racism is 99. That's why Jay-Z has that song, 99 Problems and a Bitch Ain't One. Which was also synced up with the killing of George Floyd. And then I don't know if you guys remember the article that came out that said that Michael Jordan called the killing of George Floyd ingrained racism. That also equates to 99 as well. Ingrained racism, 99. Let's see if I can find out if I can find that article, Mr. Michael Jordan. So let's see. Let's see, where did I put it? These people, man, they get away with crime, literally. The biggest faker in sports history, Mr. Michael Jordan. You know, I didn't realize how many Michael Jordan posts I've already had. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Man, talk about history repeats itself. They 322 days apart. Oh my God, 322. Yeah, I can't find that. Oh boy, let's see. Ingrained racism. Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan releases a statement. Michael Jordan speaks out against ingrained racism in America. We had enough. Oh my God. And this was on May 31st, 2020. This was right after the killing of George Floyd. And ingrained racism is 99. I noticed they emphasize it right in the article is because of the gematria behind it. We have had enough. What that sums to? Probably another 106. 147 like Freemason. 60 like police and the N-word. Yeah, so and then look at this story. Mr. Julian Edelman, he retires on April 12th. And his name sums to 124, like 12/4. Everything that these people do is by the numbers. You know, those sports games, these fake racial divisive stories, all of it. The guy named sums to 60 like police and the N-word. 322 days after the killing of George Floyd, we get the killing of Daunte Wright. So let's see if I covered everything. I think I did. Yeah, so I guess we can leave it there. So, yeah, if you haven't seen the video that I did on George Floyd, it's in my channel. It's like one of the first videos because once my channel got deleted, I did the video over. And it's still in this channel, so you can go see it. I'm not going to cover everything with George Floyd. There's a lot of stuff in that fake ritual. But, yeah, police. And something about police and the N-word. It's almost perfect in all four ciphers. Police. Want to know why black people get harassed so much by the police? It's in the numbers. It's in the numbers. Of course, it sums to 33 police. And you know what color you wear when you get arrested? They put orange on black people. So, police, the N-word, and orange, they go together. Stay away from the police if you are this, so you won't be wearing any of this. That's basically what they're telling us on the 102nd day of the year. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I guess we could leave it there. Yeah, Barclays Center equals 56. LeBron could become 5-6 if he wins the championship in Brooklyn. And then next year, he could possibly play Brooklyn again next year, and then tie Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan was born in Brooklyn, so he can definitely become 6-6 in Brooklyn. Well, the Pope, I'm not sure. I don't think the Pope is the leader of the Illuminati, but he is definitely the leader of the Catholic Church, which is pretty much the same thing. So let's see if I miss anything. Somebody said it's not a hoax. Prove to me it's not a hoax. This is the fake. I mean, whatever. Yeah, you want to believe that this is real? Go ahead. You want to believe that this is real? So they just found a guy named Daunte Wright out of the blue, coincidentally, then shoots him on a perfect day. Exactly 322 days after George Floyd's killing. These are actors, my man. Actors don't die in movies. The Nipsey, yeah, my channel got deleted, so I don't have the Nipsey video available anymore. But if you visit my blog, you could just type in Nipsey, and all his decodes will pop up. Yeah. Yeah, he died 228 days after his birthday. And then he also died 137 days before his birthday. And his name, Ermias Ashgadan. Some 137, the 33rd prime. He died at the age of 33. Hustle equals 33, like Grammys, like LAPD. And then there was a comedian. His name was Nipsey Russell. And Nipsey Russell, he died on October 2nd, 2005, which was the day leaving 90 days left in the year. Nipsey Hussle died on March 31st in 2019 on the 90th day of the year. And when you write out 90 as a word, it sums to 87 and 33. The comedian Nipsey Russell was 87 years old when he died, and Nipsey was 33. Like how they both died in connection to the number 90. Because one died on the 90th day of the year, and the other died on the day leaving 90 days left in the year. And then when you write out that number, it sums to the ages that both of those gentlemen passed away. Which goes to show you how synced up all this stuff is. And then both of them have similar names. Nipsey Russell, Nipsey Hussle. I mean, come on. But you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks everybody for watching. And I'll see you next time.